Mamba mentality. That goes to show that you know how many hours this man put in the gym? You wasn't shooting with me in the wait. You wasn't with me shooting in the gym? The jump shots, the weightlifting, the running, the film, the studying, the everything. And he chose to call his what he's known for the Mamba mentality. Like he understood the fact that like yo, all of this training doesn't mean anything if you don't even believe that you can do it. If you're not in the right mindset when opportunity comes knocking on your door and it's like yo, you ready for this moment that you've been training for, that you wanted? Are you? I know you put in the work, but is your mind ready? Because despite all of the work, despite the opportunity that's in front of you, despite all of those things, your mind will convince you sometimes that you're not ready. There's a quote that has been stuck in my head for so long. So much so that it's become a positive affirmation that I read to myself every morning. And it's part of a few quotes. There's five quotes that I actually try to read myself every day as part of my morning routine, but here's one of them. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Oof. And that is by Henry Ford, founder, of course, of the Ford Motor Company. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And that one has stuck with me for a bunch of different reasons, but more so it resonates with me because I see myself in it. I see so many of us in that quote. The idea of, yo, we have the skills, the work experience, the knowledge, we put in the time, the effort, all of those kind of things. We have these amazing ideas, but if our mind isn't in the right place for us to believe that we can actually achieve some of these things, then it doesn't mean anything. I even think about Kobe, right? Kobe Jelly Bean motherfucking Bryant. Mamba mentality. This man had a nickname called the Black Mamba, and he wanted to summarize what that was for him. And he chose two words. The first word, Mamba, to represent the nickname, and the second word, he could have put anything. He could have put anything after the word Mamba, and it would have been set, done. People would have supported it. It would be like, oh, fire, genius. He could have put the Mamba workout. He could have put the Mamba cuisine. He could have put the Mamba practice. He could have put the Mamba anything, but this man decided to put the Mamba mentality. Mamba mentality. That goes to show that you know how many hours this man put in the gym? You wasn't shooting with me in the wait. You wasn't with me shooting in the gym? The jump shots, the weightlifting, the running, the film, the studying, the everything. And he chose to call his what he's known for the Mamba mentality. Like he understood the fact that like yo, all of this training doesn't mean anything if you don't even believe that you can do it. If you're not in the right mindset when opportunity comes knocking on your door and it's like, yo, you ready for this moment that you've been training for, that you wanted? Are you? I know you put in the work, but is your mind ready? Because despite all of the work, despite the opportunity that's in front of you, despite all of those things, your mind will convince you sometimes that you're not ready. Your mind will try to convince you that you're not built for this, that you're not for this life. Your mind will tell you like, compare. Look at all these other people that are doing amazing stuff. Don't apply for that. It's not your turn. Don't slide in those LinkedIn DMs. They're not gonna respond. Yo, one person told you no, all these other people are about to tell you no as well. Like your mind will play tricks on you. I listen, I don't know if this is true, but I heard it somewhere. It must be true if it's online, right? Say like the brain is the biggest muscle in your body. Think about that. If that is so, that is a powerful tool. I mean, my brain, if I'm anxious on a certain day or certain week, you know me, TMI, I won't even poop that day. My brain is so powerful that if I'm anxious, the anxiety will take over my whole body and I won't even poop that day. I might skip a few days depending on how anxious I'm feeling. I'm saying all this because the last week and maybe the last week or two, it's hard to explain the progress that I'm making towards my goals because I haven't checked off the box that I want to check off yet, you know? Let's give an example. Like one example is I haven't been able to sign a corporate client yet. So the app is going to be available in the App Store for people to download within a few weeks. I think we're pushing it to the App Store this week actually. So maybe at the end of this week or early next week it should be available to download. But I think the bigger monetization opportunity is to have corporations use this app as part of their employee experience, employee benefit. And I haven't signed a corporate partner yet, but I'm making a ton of progress. And that's what these last few weeks have felt like. Like I've been making progress. And as far as progress, I keep telling myself to trust the process. But boy, it's hard to trust the process. Yo, entrepreneurship is a whole bunch of trusting the process. Entrepreneurship is wild. Like you really, you really gotta have a certain type of like mindset to go into entrepreneurship because you gotta convince yourself every day that you're on the right track. Because if not, what are we doing? What am I doing? You gotta believe in the vision that you set out despite all of the signals potentially saying otherwise. Yeah. Despite all of the signals potentially saying otherwise. And I'm not talking about the macro level signals of like the amount of businesses that aren't successful or the amount of or the amount of, black or Latino owned startups that don't receive funding. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the signals that you receive directly when trying to sell your product or find the right client for your product and people tell you no. People tell you we're not this isn't something that we can probably do this year. And are they just saying that as like this year? I don't know. But yeah, I've been sliding in a bunch of DMs for people in my network from HR teams to gauge interest in this app for their employees. And part of this is not only pitching it, but also trying to identify who is the right person or team that will be buying this. Because the HR world is brand new to me. So a lot of these have been, let's call them informational interviews with so many different teams within HR, with so many different stakeholders. I've been meeting people to identify who is the right team that will ultimately be buying this product. And in my brain, I'm like, God damn. Informational interviews mean these aren't pitches. If I'm not pitching, I'm not making money. My savings account can only go for so long. I don't think I've made money in all of this year yet. I don't think I've made money all of this year yet, which is okay. Like part of the plan was to make the majority of the revenue in the second half. But when you aren't making revenue as well, it puts a different type of pressure on you, and it allows that self-doubt to creep in. But what is pushing that self-doubt away, to be honest, is that constant reminder of just being like, you are on the right track. Because again, going back to that quote, my mindset, my mind gets to determine whether I'm on the right track or not. I'm going to read it again because that quote, let me listen. Henry Ford, bars. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And right now, I'm telling myself that I can. Right now, I'm telling myself that it's just a matter of time. I'm telling myself that despite the many no's or the non-responses, despite these informational interviews not being sales calls, that they will lead to some lucrative, mutually beneficial opportunities in the near future. I am making progress. Within every call, let's say I met with like 10 people so far, I am starting to identify some common themes. People are starting to say similar team names or repeat similar team names. And so it's narrowing down who I think my ultimate client will be. And these are like hundreds of thousands of dollars, potentially $1 million contracts just with one org, right? So if this goes down, even with one, it's going to be life changing. And then I signed one and that's it. I signed one, get one amazing case study, and that's just going to be a ripple effect. That's the story that I'm telling myself. And that's the story that I have to keep telling myself because if I don't believe it, why should anyone else? And I think that's what sets me apart. I just believe. I believe in this. Like, I'm telling you, y'all, like entrepreneurship ain't easy. And it takes, because I don't think I'm like, I don't think I should be on an episode of how I built this or anything, but I think it takes a certain type of like person and mindset to be successful as an entrepreneur. You really got to have this like delusional level of confidence and belief in your dreams that like it's going to happen. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, you know? Trust that process, you know what I mean? And it's not saying like I'm delusional to the point where like I don't think I have to pivot or slightly tweak my idea, but I have such a delusional level of confidence that like even when a company says like, "Oh no, like, we're not going to work with you this year." In my head, I'm just like, "Oh, well, not this year. Maybe I didn't market it right. Maybe I didn't talk about the benefits right. Maybe I didn't do this or that." Or maybe they really don't want to work with us this year, but it's potentially next year, right? Like it's always for me and this relationship with clients, I don't think it's a matter of if, I think it's a matter of when. And the reason for that is because I do like that's how much I believe in what we're building. I mean, I guess time will tell. Time will tell. But I want you to think about this quote. I really do, because I think, not that I think, I know. I mean, I talk to friends and connections and just people in my network, and I know that they're holding on to so much genius, so many life-changing ideas that they refuse to take action on because they're letting their mindset push them in the wrong direction. They're letting their like limiting beliefs hold them back. from the life that they want to live. And listen, there are days when I let my mind do that as well. We all have our days. We all have our days. But you gotta go for it. What's the worst thing that can happen? You go back to what you were doing before? I don't want to go back to what I was doing before. But that's the worst case scenario. And yeah. Let me drink some coffee. Hold up. How I really want to feel is not like I'm making progress, but I want to finally check the box of proving to myself that I can sign a corporate client. That would be game changer. And honestly, that's when I would want to celebrate. As much as I even want to celebrate the app launch, and I am, because it is an accomplishment, like signing a corporate client is what I really want to celebrate. I just, this is a reminder. This is a reminder. You got this. I got this. We got this. It's not a matter of when. I'm sorry. It's not a matter of if. It's a matter of when. It will happen. I just got to keep going.